Good evening, everybody. It's been about 2 months since I did a video. The last video I did was the Euros prediction. I haven't done a video since. Just been enjoying the summer, Enjoyed the football. Enjoyed not watching Cardiff for a little bit. Now missing them. So can't wait to get back tomorrow. As I do record this, it is Friday the 9th of August, which is the day before the championship returns. Actually, within the next half an hour, the two first championship games are going to take place. Because I'm recording this on Friday evening. So basically, you may have seen my reaction to predictions from last season's championship a few months ago. This video is just going to be my championship predictions for the season. I've not really looked into who people have signed, bar like the ones that are just known. I've not really gone deep into like analytics or anything with this. I'm just going on gut feel, which is what I always do. I just think based on the managers they have, the squads, the team they are, like where I think they'll finish. It's just going to be purely based on my own feeling about that team, with a little bit of what I know sprinkled in, and it's set up in the table that I used last year, which shows where the team actually finished later on in the season when I revisit this at the end of the year, and the points scored and everything will be the same as last year. But for now, we are only interested in this column where we will fill in where I think teams will finish as of right now. Obviously, a lot can change. There's another 3 weeks left of the window, so things can change drastically. But right now, this is where I think people are going to finish. And yeah, let's get into it and see how I do come the end of the season. So, looking at 24th place, for me, there's been so much talk of if you look at the Opta supercomputer, I think they simulate the season 1,000 times. The average position for Cardiff was 24th. The average points for Cardiff was 50.6, which is the lowest, which is why they're 24th. It's horrendous. Statistically, we were very bad last year. I know we were. But there's no way we're getting relegated. There's no possible way that we get relegated this season.
Are you sure about that?
Hopefully that doesn't get clipped, because I don't see it happening. We've improved the squad. We've kept the manager, given him a new contract. He's happy. It's make or break for him now. It needs to be proved. But anyway, enough about Cardiff. For me, people keep tipping Plymouth to be bottom. I think it's Oxford United. I really do. I don't think they shone in the playoff final. I think the goals they scored were good goals. They didn't dominate the game against a Bolton side, which I think would also have struggled in the championship. The quality drop off, I think, between teams that may finish in around the bottom three this season and then top end of the championship with the teams that did come up, like Portsmouth and Derby in particular, I think you're looking at a situation where Oxford could be pretty poor this season. So for me, they're 24th. And then going into 23rd, I think it's quite difficult to put teams down there this season. I think Portsmouth and Derby will be pretty good, if not spectacular, sort of mid-table fine. So you're looking at Plymouth have been mentioned a lot, as I said. I don't think they're going to be that bad. I think Wayne Rooney with the full pre-season will get them playing in his image and they'll be okay. I think they'll be, we'll see where I'm going to put them, but I think they'll be okay. So for me, I think I'm going to go for a bold one and I'm going to go for Stoke City. Now, that might end up being horrendous. It could be a ridiculous shout from me to say that they're going to finish that low, but I just think of the teams that have come up, the Portsmouth and Derby sides that have come up. I don't see how Stoke play better football than them. I don't see how Stoke are better at home than Derby will be, for example. I think Derby will be very good at home. Traditionally have been under Paul Warne since he went there. Yeah, I don't see. A lot of people have got Blackburn down around this area. But for me, Stoke, I don't see them being very good at all. I think Millwall, Preston, Blackburn, I think they'll all be in better positions than Stoke. So it's difficult to say, but I think they'll be down in 23rd place. And then we come to 22nd place. Now, it's difficult to predict. I think Oxford are gone. Like for me, people will say Plymouth are gone. I think Oxford are gone. I think Watford should be worried. I don't think Tom Cleverley was an astute signing as a manager. They had a little bit of a bounce, and then fell away again towards the end of last season. I think they were a few draws in there and stuff, but it's not an inspiring managerial appointment. At least from what I've seen and what I know of the situation at the club, I'd be quite worried about Watford. Maybe not quite to the level of going down, which is why I might have to go back on what I said about Plymouth, because although I think Plymouth will be better than people think, a lot of people think Plymouth will be bottom, purely based on the little stint he had at Birmingham, I think, for Wayne Rooney. Whereas I think with a pre-season he'll be fine. I'm going to have to go Plymouth in the bottom three. I think it could be a situation where that turns out to be wrong, and I've under-predicted them, even though I've said I think they might be okay. I think the key to my predictions and point system that I run is, if Oxford end up being there, if Plymouth end up being there, I'm only losing or gaining a couple of points. It's not that bad. I think those teams will be in around there. But moving straight on, because I do think Watford will be in a relegation battle. I think Watford will be poor. I think at some point this season, Tom Cleverley will be sacked. They'll have a new manager. Depends who the manager is, whether he'll be able to get them out of there. Let's say Plymouth are having a decent season, the 21st, 20th. Watford changes the manager. They have a bit of a bounce at the end of the season. They get out of the trouble. That could be what happens there. So for me, Watford 21st, just avoiding relegation. I'm then going to go Blackburn. I think Birmingham finished 17th in, if I'm not mistaken, I think Birmingham finished 17th in John Eustace's first season there. Obviously, they started really well last year. They were 7th when they sacked him and brought in Wayne Rooney. I think that was probably not going to last forever. And they probably would have ended up somewhere around 16th anyway by the end of the season, probably. But I think he's a better manager than those around him. With a poor Blackburn side that potentially might lose Sammy Szmodics, as well as I've already having lost some key players in last year. Adam Wharton being the main one. So, yeah, I think 20th this season for Blackburn might just be, let's just stay in the division. Let's not get relegated. Decent manager. Build on from there the season after. So I think Blackburn 20th. I'm going to put in 19th place QPR. Now, although I think Martí Cifuentes is a great manager, I do think that they're limited in what they've done. I think they've lost some players. Obviously, Chris Willock's come across to Cardiff. So that's one key player they've lost. Not sure how influential he was last year, but I'm pretty certain QPR offered him a good deal to stay. He wasn't interested in staying. So, there's some issues with the squad. I still think he's a good manager. I think them finishing 19th won't be a reflection on him. It might be a reflection on how bad the squad is and them overperforming potentially. So I think QPR in 19th place. I'm then going to go for Derby in 18th place. Now I think I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm going to go QPR in 17th. I know I'm skipping ahead. And I'm going to go Portsmouth in 19th. Now, you might be saying, why am I doing that? Well, I think John Mousinho might struggle to get the players. I didn't watch a lot of League One last season, if anything. But my understanding of the way that Portsmouth played was they weren't particularly ball dominant. They had quite a lot of games where they won by 1 goal. And I think that's a risky game to play in the Championship. I think that's somewhere where those 1 goal wins end up being 2. Say those 2-1 wins for them in League One could end up being a 2-1 loss in the Championship, or a lot of draws. I think Derby will be better placed because Paul Warne had some good experience when he was with Rotherham in the Championship, and they were doing quite well when he left. Quite strange actually to go to Derby in League One, but obviously he knew the potential that Derby had to be up there. They're a bigger club than Rotherham. So I think, personally, I think that although John Mousinho got Portsmouth top of League One, won the league, I think Derby are probably better placed. They've got Championship calibre players that have been there and done it before, like Mendes Lang. A lot of ex-Cardiff players there, actually. Same with Portsmouth, actually. So I think that Paul Warren will be the difference. I think Derby finish above Portsmouth, and QPR, Marti Fuentes gets them in a position where they finish 17th, which is a big improvement on where they probably were predicted to finish last year and maybe this year, outside of his influence on that squad. In 16th place, I'm going to go for Sheffield Wednesday. Now, this is another case of I really like Danny Rowe. I think he's one of the better managers in the division, actually, based on what he did last season to keep Sheffield Wednesday up. I just don't think they can do any better than that. I think that is the absolute top of what they can do this season based on the squad they've got. They've just re-signed Ike Ugbo. It was at Cardiff last season before he went there on loan afterwards. Not a very good player. Like, just offered nothing. Like, a couple of tap-ins. That was it. So, for me, I don't think they can do much more than 16. I think that would be a good finish for Sheffield Wednesday. Great manager. So, for me, Sheffield Wednesday in 16th. Next, I'm going to go Millwall. I way overestimated Millwall last season. I think I had them finishing in 8th, and they were nowhere near that at the end of the season. They improved when Neil Harris came in at the end of the season. He's still there now. I think that will be solid, no nonsense, never going to be struggling against relegation football, but it's not inspiring top half of the table football either. I think 15th is just perfectly safe. Millwall will always be there or thereabouts. You know, they're always going to be in the middle of the championship table since they've been back from League One. So for me, with Neil Harris, 15th place for Millwall. Next up in 14th, I'm going to go for Preston North End. Now, they had a good start to last season. They were higher in the playoff places for a long time. Fell away at the end of the season. A little bit like Cardiff, actually. I just feel like they're an uninspiring squad, an uninspiring manager. Ryan Lowe is not a bad manager by any means. He's done well since he's gone there, but I just don't think there's any reason to be optimistic of anything special happening there. Preston fans may tell me that they've made a couple of great signings and they're really excited about the season. I don't see that myself. So, again, a bit like Millwall, just safely in mid-table, no problems at all. 14th place for Preston. And next up in 13th, unlucky number 13. People may think I'm biased, putting them low. But for me, Swansea City. Don't want to talk about them, per se, but I just think they're a nothing club. And I don't think they've done anything to inspire me to put them any higher. I think they're absolutely fine in 13th. No problem at all. Average championship season. Much like this club, Sunderland, who kind of, really got under Tony Mowbray the year before last, playoff semi-finalists. And then kind of fell away last season when they got rid of him. Went through a couple of managers last year that didn't really work. Now brought in this guy from France, who I don't think's got an inspiring record. Maybe there's more to him under the surface of what he's done previously, but for me, it doesn't look like a very good sign at all. They took a long time to appoint him. Maybe people didn't want to go there. They've got a young squad. I believe I read they've signed some players now who are average age 29 to add to the young squad, try and build some experience around the young players they've got. They've got good talented players, like Joe Bellingham had a good year last year. So I think they'll be fine. I just don't think they'll be inspired this season at all. I think 12th would be there or thereabouts for Sunderland. I think that's where I predict them to finish. In 11th place, I think Coventry will be there. They've had a really good couple of seasons. Fell away just the end of the last season again. Didn't quite make it to where they wanted to be again in the playoffs. I think they'll fall off a little bit. I think 11th, they'll be fighting in around these positions, but I just think not quite at the standard they've been the last couple of years. Obviously, the FA Cup run kind of hindered their championship ambitions last season, I think 11th place won't be a bad season for them at all. I think that I saw earlier they signed Brandon Thomas Asante, which is an interesting one. But yeah, for me, 11th place for Coventry. Next up in 10th place, I'm going to go for the Mighty Bluebirds. We finished 12th last season. Statistically, we were very, very poor. I think we were 21st in chances created and other statistics of that nature were really poor in our in our stead. So based on the 12th place finish last season, with the front line that we had, the front line that we now have, El Ghazi has come in, Chris Willock has come in, Wilfred Kanga has come in, Robinson looks inspired this pre-season, Alex Robertson from Portsmouth, who looks like a really, really good signing for the midfield, Callum Chambers adding lots of experience and ball playing ability from the back. Really excited about this season now. I don't want to over-egg where I think we'll finish. I think building on 12th place, playing better football to get to that 10th place that I predict, rather than sort of falling into the 12th place we kind of did last season. I think playing the good football that we can play with the right players on the pitch with no injuries, I think 10th place is, it's a step forward. Errol Bullitt needs to prove that he's the right man for the job now. He's been given everything he wants. He's got a new contract. He's been given, we've got good players coming in on frees, and Alex Robertson's case, £1 million spent on him, which doesn't sound a lot to some Championship clubs, but to Cardiff that is a lot of money. So, in my opinion, he needs to do a good job this season now. I do have faith, but time will tell. We should finish around 10th, I think, with the players we brought in and the foundation that we already had from last season. Anything less than 12th would be a disappointment, I think. I think we can finish 10th, 9th, but there are some good clubs above us, and that's where I need to look now. Just ahead of us, unfortunately, I do think Bristol City. I think it's touch and go between them and a couple of other clubs, particularly Cardiff. I think Cardiff could finish in 9th. And Bristol City could finish a bit lower down. I do think that they've got a good manager, and I think they have the potential to be a little bit higher up the table than they have been previously. They're always around mid-table, Bristol City, as always. Nothing club, again. But I do think that they'll be better than last year as well as Cardiff will be. I think both of us could, fight for that sort of top 10 with a couple of other clubs. I think Bristol City will be in 9th place. 8th place, I think we will have Hull City. Now, they're probably, they've lost Philogene, massive blow. Carvalho's not there anymore, massive blow. They've got rid of the manager. I couldn't tell who they've signed. But I just think, given the ambition shown in getting rid of Rosenior, surely they're going to want to push on from where they were last season, which was 7th, 8th anyway. So I think this is about where they're going to be, because I think there's better clubs above them. But I don't think they'll finish any lower than 7th, 8th, because that's surely where they want to be, and a manager's got to do the job to get them there. Not sure who they've signed. I'm sure there's some good players they've signed, because they've spent a good bit of money the last couple of years. They got a good bit of money for Philogene. So I think 8th place is about right for Hull City next season. Now this one might be contentious, but I really do think Sheffield United might have a poor season. Now, I think if you saw my Premiership reactions from the end of last season, I think I said about them maybe struggling really badly in the Championship. Now, this isn't obviously saying they're going to struggle badly, but I've seen a lot of predictions where they're still playoff team, maybe challenging for the league. I personally think they're going to struggle a lot. I don't get keeping Chris Wilder in the job. I don't think he's it anymore. You look at managers like Steve Bruce, Sam Allardyce. Chris Wilder's obviously not the same style of football as that when he had success coming into the league, the Premier League about 5 years ago. But I just don't think he's it for modern football anymore. Didn't work at Watford. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work in the Championship this time with Sheffield United like he did last time. I'll be generous and say they'll finish 7th, which may be a disappointment to them, but I don't think they'll finish any higher than that. I think they could finish a lot lower. So 7th place for Sheffield United. In 6th place, sneaking into the playoffs, I think Norwich City. I think they're going to lose Jonathan Rowe to Leeds, if that hasn't already happened. I don't think it has, as a replacement for Crescencio Somerville. I know nothing about their manager. All I know is they had a remit to play better football than what they did last season with David Wagner. So by default, I assume the manager they brought in is going to try and play better football. If they got the players to do that, I'm not sure. I think they've lost. I think I see Ben Gibson's left. A couple of other players have left. Obviously, like I said, Jonathan Rowe might be out the door. Not sure if they've got the players to play the football they need, but I would back them more than a Sheffield United to get in the playoffs. So 6th, just 6th. Finishing in 5th place, much like last season, I think West Bromwich Albion. I think Carlos Corberán is one of the best managers in the league, as he has been for the last few years. I just think the teams above them are better. You know, I've seen that, like I said earlier, Brandon Thomas Asante has gone to Coventry. Not saying that's a big miss for West Brom at all. Daryl Dike is always injured for them. I've seen they brought in Devante Cole from Barnsley. Not sure about that. He's a presence, but he's someone who scores on average like 10 goals a season in League One, I think. Maybe 15. Is that going to work in the Championship up top for them? Maybe he's a backup striker, I'm not sure. But I think they'll be solid as a rock again. The key for them will probably be to score more goals, because they're always solid defensively. If they could score more goals, I think they'd be higher up the table than where they were and are predicted to be now with 5th. But another solid season in the playoffs for West Brom, in my opinion. 4th place, I think, will be Middlesbrough. Now, in my opinion, they have a very good chance of finishing even higher than that. I think they could be challengers for the league, potentially. Depends if they keep everyone fit. Lath, if that's how you say his name, up top. Sensational last year if he hits the ground running and scores like 20 goals a season. A bit like what Benik Afobe did for them a couple of years ago. They could be cooking. I think they'll still be a solid playoff team no matter what. I think Mark Carroll's a very good manager. Slow start last season cost them. They could have ended up in the playoffs again last season, really. But yeah, I think 4th. I think they could finish higher. I don't think they'll finish much lower. I think playoff team, probably 4th for me. This is where it gets interesting because will Leeds do it without Somerville? Jonathan Rowe could replace him. Not the same level. They've still got Rutte, I believe. They signed Rodon, I think. They've signed Rodon permanently now. Ampadu still there. I'm not a big fan of this man. I'm not a big fan of Scott Parker at all. I think they underachieve, really, because I think they've still got one of the best. They've probably got the best squad in the Championship, Burnley. And I think they underachieve with Scott Parker. I'm not a big fan at all. I think both times he got promoted, he's had one of the best sides in the Championship. He should have. He had to do it for the playoffs once with Fulham. I think they miss out. I think Burnley finished 3rd, which would be an underperformance. And that means that I think Leeds United finish in 2nd because I truly believe that Luton Town will be the cream of the crop. They're missing some players from last year, like Ross Barkley's moved on. But this is the Championship, not the Premier League. I think they'll be just fine, squad-wise. And I really, 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 really like Rob Edwards. I think he's superb. And I think he's one of the best managers in the league. The way he got Luton playing in the Premiership was great. Like, they played really good football, man-to-man marking all over the pitch. I think that'll be a problem for a lot of Championship sides. I think Leeds United bottled the Championship title, and they finished 2nd, but they do get automatic promotion. And I think Burnley finished 3rd. I'm not sure how this is going to go. I think this 7 teams is pretty much going to be the top 7. You might get a surprise team in and around. I think those teams are pretty much the next group, in my opinion. And then these are all very contentious. I think these 2 could end up down here. These 2 could end up down here. These 2 could end up higher. It's very contentious. But 7 there and 7 and 6 there, I think are very much nailed on to be in those positions, in my opinion, like in terms of that area of the table. You know, these 7 in the top 7, these 6 in the next 6, I think are pretty much nailed on, in my opinion. I think that'll be the case. So the fun part of this will be when I come back at the end of the season. You know, it's the 9th of August. The Championship games are about to kick off. It's 8 PM. When I come back in May, we'll have a look at how I did. For some reason, I'm not too confident on this one. But in any way, look after yourselves. Please like, subscribe, and comment your opinion on what you think the Championship season will go like. Am I being overzealous with Cardiff? Who knows? But as I say, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.